It's our favorite segment of the week. It is when Steve Young joins KMBR to talk all things San Francisco 49ers. And the two things that stood out to me that he discussed on KMBR were the touchdown throw to George Kittle from Brock Purdy and the decision of Kyle Shanahan to put CMC back in the game when it was definitely in the win column at that particular point and trying to go for the record. Did he agree with that? Did he think that was detrimental to the 49ers' success in the long term? All those different things. And Steve Young gives us his thoughts on Brock and Kyle Shanahan putting CMC in to go for the record. Listen to what he had to say right here.
You know, we had all these fears and anxieties. Like, we'd build them up with the bye week. I mean, we'd all build them up. Like, who are we? What are we? And look, I mean, that was hellfire. You know what I mean? That was just a beatdown, and in every way. We go like, what are our weaknesses? Oh, we got this weakness, got this one, and they just, shut it down on the road. So, I don't know. I fired up. When Virginia Tech when Virginia Tech plays Enter Sandman, like when everyone, the whole place is jumping up and down, I really do get fired up.
It is
and
cool,
so
man.
I'm kind of fired up. I feel like that this week. I'm kind of fired up.
Yeah, no, I told Copes, I've been saying this week, like, when I close my eyes and envision a 49er football team, that was it. Like, just dominant defense, get to the quarterback, defense leads the way, and offense just follows right. Like, that is who they are. Like, okay, what do I think of? That's what I think of, and that's what happened.
Then under pressure, halftime, it's kind of a game. Then you come out, you're like, okay, which way is it going to go? Then all of a sudden, there they come, forcing the turnover. Everyone gets pumped up, go down, put a score on, then another, and that's over. And that seems like our, as you're right, it's like it's the pattern for great 49er football. So awesome, good stuff. And look, we can debrief it and say, Jacksonville 5-game winning streak with a week off after going to Europe twice. It's like, yeah, they're probably a little bit on a coast mode, where the 49ers were like not panicked, but focused, knew that they needed to make a statement. And then I remember the first play when they got 5 linemen and Chase Young's standing up over the center.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking Trevor Lawrence is like, oh yeah, the week off. I don't know if we talked about this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we covered this part of the game plan. And it felt like it went downhill from that moment,
It's funny because you just get these moments in the course of a season, like the Browns game when they lost to the Browns. The Browns weren't playing great. The Niners were coming off the Dallas win when everybody was saying they're the greatest team in the league, and you get those type of setups. And this one worked kind of the other way, where everybody kept talking about the Jaguars. By the way, I always say, are you a Jaguar guy? Or are you a Jaguar guy?
I'm not. It's not French.
Jaguar.
Yeah,
it's Jaguar.
It's not French. It's not.
Right?
Yeah, it's Jaguar. It's not a French word.
So you say Jaguar,
it's not Jaguar,
like wire.
Not Jaguar.
It's
Jaguar.
Jaguar
or
Jaguar.
Jaguar.
It's Jaguar.
It's not wire, right?
Jaguar.
Yeah, that's right. You're on the same. We're on the same.
Jaguar. There you go.
No, not
you
Jaguar.
changed it
It's
twice.
not Jaguar. Stop. You said it 3 different times, 3 different ways now. Okay, let's move on. But they were like, 5 games in a row, playing at home, one of the best teams in the AFC. And you get the Niner team, they're licking their wounds for a week, and they came out, and that's exactly what it looked like. It looked like they've had to sit with this for 3 or 2 weeks, and they were really tired of it.
Tired, and really with 3-game losing streak, losing twice on the road to teams that they know that's going to be painful when they're chasing the Eagles. We know home field's going to be big. That championship game.
Yep.
Look, you and I can do this. Players can't do this. Coaches can't do this. They can. Oh yeah, when we play the Eagles for the championship game, but home field advantage for that game is going to be big. And so we know we're a little bit behind the 8 ball, so we can't go 12-5, because you got to figure that the Eagles are a little bit better than that.
Yeah.
So we can't drop any. So it's solid. And I think the 5th lineman, the 5 linemen, it's going to cause grief all year long. I think that's why you introduced it. And then he switched it up, and they both came from the bookends, and they made him come up the middle. I think it's a fun thing for them to. Here's one of the best most talented defensive linemen, and add, you could actually drop him. I can see where they line him up over the center, and they kind of zone blitz it and bring an extra linebacker. Bring Fred, and he drops back. I can actually see that happening. That would, you'd have people really scratching their head. And Chase Young takes the pick six, and spikes it. I can see that in the future.
No doubt about it. I want to get your thoughts on Purdy's throw to Kittle, because that took some guts to hang in there, and then just the accuracy was stunning.
Yeah, so that's his thing. He feels pressure. It's not overwhelming. He knows he's got to get the ball out. He knows it's kind of the wheel route, so it's going to take a second, so he has to hang in there. And then he does put it up for play. You see a lot of guys throw it out of bounds, go routes, fade routes, routes along the sidelines, and the ball's out of bounds. I say 25% of the balls go out of bounds. You're like, bro, you're a professional quarterback. You're throwing it out of bounds? No. And so that the ball's going to be in play. And you saw Kyle's reaction when the ball was in the air. It's like, that's going to be in a space, one-on-one, and that's really what you're looking for. And Brock will take the hit. He is not afraid to just stand in there. He knows, because of his arm strength, because of his size, he knows he has to be ahead of it, and he has to be early, and he has to not blink. I can't pull it down and do a Jalen Hurts and kind of stiff arm the lineman and come out and then look for a long ball down 70 yards down the field. That's not happening. So within his game, he's really solid. It just feels like he makes very, very few mistakes. It's kind of fun. It's fun to watch.
Yeah.
I'm talking to Steve Young on the Yuma guest line. What did you make of the decision by Kyle to put McCaffrey back in the game to go for the record? I just thought it was uncharacteristic, but what did you think?
It was, but I actually listened to Kyle just a minute ago. You guys had him, and I liked it. I like what he was saying. He's like, look, there's a gut feeling. Like the team, a record like that is unique. It's not like, the receiving record for one game is 247 yards, and he's 5 yards short. It's like, no, bro. Not where we're going to. But over 2 years, something that Lenny Moore did 60 years ago or 70 years ago, that's never going to be repeated. Like, in other words, to score a touchdown in another 17 games, it's like a one-shot deal, And so in that way, he did the math. He said, look, if I play him for 4 more plays, let's feed it to him. And I think he was right. The team wanted him to get that. The team wanted that to happen, and then you have to read that from your team. You have to. I love coaches who have that spidey sense about what is necessary in the moment, so that you can react to it. Because we can all bandy it around later about what's most rational, but we're not standing there with that. With being in the locker room every day, being with those guys almost 24 hours a day. What is that gut feeling? That locker room feeling, and then responding to it. Because I've had a lot of coaches that didn't have that, didn't respond, and the team feels empty. They don't feel like they're being. They're not a sense that they're being. And you, Tom, you've had situations like that where coaches are just a little bit numb to it.
Yep,
that's fine. We move on, but there's something very special when a coach has that spidey sense. I like that.
No, it's interesting because when I was talking to him, I was like, look, in my shoes. Watching the game, I just don't like when people chase records. It's unnatural. It doesn't come in the flow of the game.
I agree.
But I'm not in his shoes, and I think in his shoes, I would feel the exact same way he feels, and I think in my shoes, he would feel the same way I felt. He's that type of guy, because I've talked to Steve about this, Hall of Fame coach. Yeah, I wanted to beat you to it, so you didn't try to get to it.
Right.
But he's told his guys sometimes they're chasing 3-point, like Clay, I think, in Chicago one time. Had 2 or 3 threes away from breaking the record, maybe 2, and they were winning by 30. And he goes, "Look, I'm going to give you to the end of the third quarter. That's it." He goes, we're not going to be chasing the record out here. It's ridiculous."
I like that. There's a feeling that you can go. It's cheap. It's like you go too far. Remember the sack record?
Yeah,
yes.
Of course. Yes. Yeah.
No. It's just like no. There's. You can chase it a little bit. I didn't mind. Give him a couple of chances, couple shots.
Yep.
And then if not, we're done. We're done. And I agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah, it's funny, Steve, you bring that up, and anytime anybody brings up Michael Strahan's sack record, everybody knows what you're talking about and what you mean by it. if I set a record, I wouldn't want that to be attached to it. I mean, in the end, it's in the record book. He probably doesn't give a crap. But, like, literally every time you go, oh, yeah, Michael Strahan sack record, you're like, oh, yeah, when Favre took the dive for him. Like, it never gets disassociated. It's always there. I wouldn't want that.
No. And look, we violently agree. And I think I'm okay with what happened. Net.
Yeah, so am I.
Steve is the best. Love everything he had to say about Brock Purdy and going for the touchdown and his ability to step in, and his ability to make that throw to George Kittle and put it in the spot only where he could get him. And again, just talking about his ability to not be afraid to pull the trigger on things. Brock Purdy's going to make it happen, and Steve Young seems to appreciate that. I also liked what Steve Young had to say in his reaction to Christian McCaffrey, Kyle Shanahan attempting to go for the record. A big part of it wasn't just Kyle wanting to get CMC the record. It was the whole team. The whole team wanted CMC to get the record. And, he made the decision. Again, he talked about how he had to calculate, should I put CMC in for 4 plays and risk him getting injured? What do I think the outcome's going to be? And he ultimately decided to go and put CMC back in the game and give him the ball 4 times, basically, to try to break the record. But Steve Young likes it. And he likes that Kyle Shanahan has a pulse of his team and understanding what they want to do. And that's really what it's all about. I think if it was up to Kyle, he wouldn't have put CMC back in, but he understands it meant a lot to CMC and it meant a lot to the locker room. And so he's got to do right by his guys. And so he put CMC out there and gave him a shot at it. And I said the same thing. Real time. I was like, I love that they try to get it for him. It's unfortunate it didn't happen, but I love that they actually made the effort to do it. That, to me, I think that builds some chemistry between head coach and the roster. That's kind of the human element of football. I think, if you take a step back and you're just like looking at it from like just purely like, well, we got games to win and we got to do this in the future and do that, or why would risk injury and this, that, and the other thing. Yeah, in a vacuum, probably shouldn't have put CMC out there to risk the injury. But again, this is a team of human beings. And at the end of the day, when you're in a locker room, you know what the vibes are. You can sense it. And if the whole team is like, man, we got to get CMC this record, you don't want to be the guy at the top that says, no, we're not going to get him this record. And I like the way that he kind of quantified the different nuances of different situations and different records. And, in certain situations, you know what I mean? Like, he did a good job of being like, well, if it was just a single game record, like whatever, but this is over a span of 2 years. This is really difficult to do. It's only been done one other time. So we made the effort. It didn't happen, but I do like what Steve had to say, and I do agree that I think that's what they should have done. That was the right move by Kyle. It was the right move by Kyle for CMC in the locker room. So I got no problems with it. Love everything that Steve had to say. What did you think of what Steve Young had to say about Brock Purdy, CMC's record, all those different types of things? And if you want to listen to the full interview, go to the description below, go to CanBR and check it out on their podcast page. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.